my favorite ever scary game is probably in the running if it's not my favorite game of all time. And I like a lot of games, and this is saying something, but my favorite scary game is Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem for the GameCube. This game is simply amazing. Anyone who says that gaming is not a work of art, you could argue that with any other game, but not this one. This game is a piece of art. It's bar none the scariest, most immersive, most well-told story in gaming, and I stand by that. It is Lovecraftian in all but name, in the sense that it is very reminiscent of the Call of Cthulhu mythos, but it doesn't really use any of the actual names or characters. Maybe they couldn't get it, but it is very true to that formula. And I guess maybe you could chalk this up to a lot of personal preference, that I really like Call of Cthulhu and that sort of stuff. But really, this game, if you've heard it was good, it is that good and better. I literally picked up a GameCube for no other reason than to play that game, because I played it at a friend's house, and it was that good that I popped for a GameCube. And you don't need to do that now. If you have a Wii, you can play it on your Wii. And trust me, it is every bit as good. I'll give you a brief summary of the plot, but I don't want to spoil anything for you. You play Alex Roivas, a young lady who's recently been informed that I believe her uncle has died, and under very mysterious circumstances. And so your character drives down to Rhode Island to find that not only has he been killed, he has been ripped to pieces in his library. And I believe he's left his mansion to Alex. And so Alex swears that she is not leaving this mansion until she finds out what's going on, because the police are clueless. They have no idea what's going on. Like, they have no idea what could have gotten in the house and basically torn this guy into chiclet-sized pieces. So you are wandering around this mansion just trying to unlock its secrets, and eventually you find basically the Necronomicon. It's not the Necronomicon, but it's about as close as you're likely to get. You know, it's one of those books that's bound in human flesh and that sort of thing. And so, against your better judgment, you decide to open it and read it. And things don't go well. Basically, it's told in a very episodic style, where as your character opens and starts reading this book, you start to engage in a series of chapters where you start to explore the past. You start to explore the history of the book as it's been experienced by other people down through history, starting with the first person to touch the book, who is a Roman centurion, and so on. The narrative stretches from like ancient Rome to modern day, and everyone who's ever laid a hand on this book, you play a chapter, and spanning through history, you get a different slice of this book's true nature and the horror that exists through all these different time periods. And it's really, really remarkable storytelling. And the fact that it's pulled off as well as it is, with a very simple control scheme, it is the best control scheme ever implemented in a survival horror game. So good, in fact, that I wonder why more people haven't ripped it off. It makes games like Resident Evil, even games like Resident Evil 4, look childish in comparison. It's that well implemented. It's so simple to use. It actually implements a targeted combat system, and for a game that's almost primarily melee combat, that is really remarkable how easy it is to use, and yet how much control you're given over your combat, and how free and simple and not frustrating to use. And that's kind of the hallmark of every survival horror game, is how frustrating the controls and combat can be. And people who apologize for Resident Evil and its really piss-poor control system, well, they're like, well, it has to be hard to use, otherwise it would be too easy and it wouldn't be scary. That's bullshit, and Eternal Darkness proves that, because this game is fucking brutally scary. And it also involves one of the most innovative, frightening, and to this day, most original horror concept that I've ever seen implemented in a game. And I'm not going to spoil too much of it for you, but basically you really have to keep a track on your own character's sanity. What it means is, the more time your character spends experiencing scary shit, like in a really scary room surrounded by bodies, seeing monsters like that, the less grip your character has on his own sanity and reality. And as your character starts to lose it, you actually start to experience your character losing it, and weird stuff starts to happen. So much so, in fact, that weird stuff starts to happen to the game that starts to fool you. Like you, the person, like as you're standing there right now, you start to wonder if what's going on the screen is in your head or not. Things start to happen to the game that will confuse you and frighten you, and you really won't know. You'll be fooled, and it's hard to explain until you've experienced the game. But do it. And it really is remarkable. You will play this game, and you will be blown away by the things that are being pulled off in this game. And to this day, I have never seen a game that has even approached the awesomeness, the innovation, the originality, and the sheer fright that happens in this game. It really is something. And I won't show you the scariest part of this game, which, ironically enough, is a jump scare. And this game does not really... It indulges in exactly one jump scare. And it's the best one of the game, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to show you a different scene. But I haven't actually decided what scene it is yet, but I'm going to go through the footage and find it. But I'll just give you this little teaser. But if you have not played Eternal Darkness, track it down, check it out, put it in your Wii. It's worth it. My favorite game ever.
Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting. Flesh, bone, bound together with the oddest magical incantation. This wretched book is where it all began so long ago. Before time, before humanity. I am Dr. Edward Roivas. I am a clinical psychologist. I am also dead. This is not my story, nor even the story of the Roivas family. It is the story of humanity. Like it or not, believe it or not, as you will. Your perceptions will not change reality, but simply color it. Humanity has been on the edge of extinction for 2 millennia, ignorant of so much and dependent on so few. The Guardians grow restless. Their time once again near. Whether by fate or misfortune, My family has crossed their path, and they didn't take kindly to it. Their attention turns to my granddaughter, for she is the last of my line, and the last hope for humanity.
Hello?
Miss Alexandra Roivas?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Inspector LaGrasse of the Rhode Island Police. I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's been an accident with your grandfather.
I'll be on the next flight out.
Miss Roivas, I'm pleased to meet you. I trust you had a pleasant trip?
Yes, I suppose so, considering.
Yes, my condolences. This is most unpleasant. It's a shame we couldn't meet under brighter circumstances.
Yes, it is. Can we get this over with, please?
Of course. This way. But I must warn you, it's not a pleasant sight. I'm afraid there's not much to see. Miss Roivas, is that your grandfather, Edward?
Yes, it's him. He's wearing our family ring. I don't understand. Why are you showing me this? Can't you check dental records or something? What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. It's my job, lady. You're the only living relative, and no, we can't check dental records. There's no head. Now, none of this makes sense. There's no sign of intrusion, and there was certainly a lot of force used here. I have never seen anything like this in my 20 years on the force. We have no evidence except for the body, and what's left doesn't say much. We don't have a single clue.
Well, you better find out who did this. I'm not leaving Rhode Island until you do. There must be some clue in this old mansion revealing what happened. I want answers.
So do I. I wish I had some.